What's going on, everyone? In today's video, we have some big things to cover related to the I word. Yes, that's inflation, but this time it's actually kind of good news. We also have some pretty new updates with Elon Musk and his brand new company, so you better stick around for that. And towards the end of the video, we have some awesome setups that you won't want to miss, and we have a treat for you guys today. We have two big money trades, so stick with us. But Tom, we're not wasting any more time. Let's get right into today's episode.
Yeah, look at the way that these stocks ended up popping up today. Look at Nvidia exploding to the upside. We go to the S&P 500. Very nice day, especially in pre-market there. You can see that's where we got the humongous candles really coming into some of these charts. And Mike, we were all waiting for the inflation data this morning. It came out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, and it came in lower than expectations. We were expecting 3.1 to 3.2%. Ended up coming in right around 3%. That is very, very low here. The last reading was 4%, and you can see this chart. We were actually at 9.1% if we went back even further to June of 2022, but we've been really falling back down here, and this is great to see. Inflation's getting lower, which is awesome, but man, Mike, this really it pushed the stocks up again, and we saw the SPY break that big 444 resistance that we've been talking about for a while. That was actually a nice double top. It was good to see us finally break back through there like this.
Absolutely. And if you talk about how much inflation has changed over the past year, it is very good, but still, the job is not done yet. Like you said, if we go back basically a year from now, inflation was at 9.1%. Now it's at 3%. So, that's awesome to see. And if you go to, a 5-year chart, Tom, you can see how it just soared. Inflation just soared in, 2021 and 2022. And ever since that point, we have been plummeting back down. But, I don't think anyone will be too happy and too comfortable until we get back to, that 2% range.
Yeah, exactly. And the feds keep talking about that they're just going to keep raising interest rates and keep hitting on the economy until that gets down there. And I will say, though, it's a pretty steep pace that they have right now. I'm going to be very wary towards the end of this year if maybe inflation starts to steady out or starts to bottom a little bit. I'll be curious because, the feds, they paused their last hike. Maybe that'll start to, cause it to, balance out a little bit there. We'll have to see. I know that it lags a little bit, so we obviously won't know for a couple more months until we get more inflation readings, but it's going to be an interesting end of the year. And what I love about it, though, Mike, is that this report just kept the bulls in control, and congrats to the bulls out there. Look at Nvidia today. We've been talking about it was in a pretty good wedge. It had a humongous breakout here, and it actually got right to the end of that wedge where it consolidated and had that nice break. So we love to see that, Mike. The bulls are coming back alive, and honestly, Nvidia at the end of the day just broke above 440 as well, which is right above that recent high.
Beautiful. Yeah, I mean, these big tech stocks like Nvidia and even Meta had a pretty solid day today. So, when you have good inflation data like that, it can definitely keep the rocket burners in control, and the market sure loved the report. So keep that in mind going forward. What I will say, though, is if we look at this chart that shows the stock market performance for the month of July, it does show some worrying signs. So what we could see is, today is July 12th. On average, for the past 72 years, we can see from when July starts until around July 17th, it is historically great for the stock market. But once that July 17th day hits, on average, it's been pretty, it's not horrible. It's just definitely a significant slowdown. Now, on average, it does end up coming higher later in the month, but I just wanted to give you guys a couple day brief as we get, closer to this July 17th mark. So, maybe you can adjust some positions accordingly.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point to look at there because July is usually a fairly good month in the market. It's not the best, but historically, I looked at some charts. It's normally pretty good. So I'm glad to see that, so far we've been doing that. Like you said, though, historically, it does start to kind of teeter off there and then come back. So definitely keep your eyes on that heading into this. And, as we get into some of those dates, we'll be getting up into the next, or interest rate decision with the FOMC and then the big FOMC meeting as well. So that'll definitely be something to keep on the radar as we progress through the month too.
There we go. Well, Tom, over the next couple days, we actually have some exciting earnings. Earnings season is creeping back up again. So what is on the schedule?
Yeah, tomorrow we actually have Delta Airlines reporting before the market opens, along with Pepsi, Progressive, ConAgra Foods, Fastenal, some pretty big companies there. I know people are going to really keep their eyes on Delta, Pepsi, and Progressive. Progressive, obviously, huge insurance company. Pepsi, as we all know Pepsi, and then Delta Airlines. They've been actually doing very, very well lately. But today, if we actually go check out Delta, they started falling back down. So I'll definitely be looking for them to maybe recover back up a little bit if those earnings are good. But even more important than all of that, and maybe almost as important as the inflation reading, not near as important, but almost, the big banks report on Friday. JP Morgan, Citigroup, Wells Fargo. Mike, I've been really eyeing up some positions on Citigroup. It's actually been one of the stocks I've really been looking to add some shares on down here while it's low.
Yeah, these bank stocks on Friday will be hands down the most important earnings to watch that we've seen in a while. So JP Morgan, Citigroup, and Wells Fargo, all pretty big stocks you want to watch. Personally, I think JP Morgan will be the best for trade opportunities for the short term. But even Wells Fargo sometimes has some really, really big days where it's you wouldn't expect it. A lot of times people think for short term trading, you have to trade a tech stock like Tesla or Apple or Nvidia or stocks like that. But a lot of people sleep on some of these bank stocks. Even though they move slower than the tech stocks, we've seen multiple 100% and even 1,000% moves in the options market on these bank stocks, especially when they report earnings. So just keep them on watch.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be big there for the end of the week. And man, I know banks are just so important for the overall economy, especially with what's been going on lately. We've been having some of those smaller banks failing and stuff. Now, I know that these banks aren't going to be like that. They're the big dogs, but it's still important to hear their data too.
Absolutely. And then, Tom, you can't forget about the schedule for the rest of the week. I know we had huge inflation data today, and while the rest of the week isn't as exciting, what do we need to watch?
Yeah, tomorrow, PPI data coming out the same time the inflation data came out today, 1 hour before the market opens, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. We'll also be getting initial jobless claims, which is going to be very, very important. More jobs numbers, more data. Obviously, the feds, they really keep an eye on that type of stuff. Then Friday, we do have Michigan consumer sentiment as well. But I think the big thing for the rest of the week is those initial jobless claims.
Sounds good. And then we can't forget about Elon Musk's new company. Tom, are we getting a new IPO soon, or what's going on?
Man, I really hope so, but I think Elon learned his lesson taking Tesla public, Mike. I don't think he's going public anymore. We saw what happened. He bought Twitter and took it off the market right away. But yeah, coming out with a new company called XAI. And what's very interesting to me, they have the goal to understand the true nature of the universe. You let me know in the comments what you guys think that means, but it sounds interesting, Mike. Anytime Elon does something, obviously it's very interesting. He's been a guy that has SpaceX. He goes to space. He also makes flamethrowers. He makes electric cars. I think that this is going to be awesome. He's hired a lot of people who have been, if they're saying the alumni of places like DeepMind, OpenAI, who made ChatGPT, Google Research, Microsoft, Twitter, Tesla, and other places like that. So very interesting to me. And while it's probably not going to go public, I think it's still a very interesting thing to look at here, especially with how Elon's going to be possibly fighting Zuckerberg soon.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned how he learned his lesson with Tesla, but hey, it made him the richest man in the world. Let's go.
Yeah, it did. I shouldn't have said it that way, right? Tesla's awesome. I think it's great. You're right. It made him one of the richest men in the world, but I don't know. He's a guy that I guess maybe the SEC's been on him too hard lately. I think it's their fault.
Yeah, I know at one point he wanted to take Tesla private, and that didn't end up too well, like legally, but looking back on it, I'm sure Elon is just fine with the way Tesla stock has performed regardless. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. But I think a lot of people are going to see this news and be like, yeah, that's awesome. Elon's starting another company. This isn't necessarily something new. He's always getting his hands in something, which is not a bad thing in my opinion. But I think a lot of Tesla shareholders will not necessarily be upset, but I think they'll be like at least a little bit concerned because, when Elon bought Twitter, it was taking up a lot more of his time and Tesla stock suffered because of that. So I'm not saying this new company will necessarily be the same way, but I'm just curious to see like how the Tesla shareholders react to this.
Yeah, exactly. That's a really good point because the last time that happened with Twitter, I know people were kind of pissed off, honestly, for a couple days there, even for a couple months until he kind of curbed them down a little bit more. But I definitely feel what you mean there, and that's definitely a concern to look at with this situation. But I will say, though, I don't think with this one he'll be like as hands-on as Twitter. With Twitter, I think it even looks worse because he's using it every day. It
Right.
made it kind of, it's like in your face because Elon's out there talking about it all the time.
True. And then Twitter is so much more political than, some AI company. So that's a good point. And then even another thing, too, is like, let's say Elon finds some revolutionary finding in the artificial intelligence industry with this new company XAI. He can definitely apply that to his other businesses, including Tesla.
Yo, that's a good point, too. That'd be great. And I think just advancing that for the full self-driving will be great for Tesla. And then even SpaceX, I mean, that stuff is used so much in outer space more than people know too, especially like on rockets. To be able to stabilize a rocket going up takes so much mathematical calculations within split seconds. It's actually insane.
Yep. All right, Tom. Well, it's now time for the part of the video that everyone, including myself, has been waiting for, and that is the setups for tomorrow. And essentially, my first stock is Beyond Meat, the fake meat company. So this stock has been all over the place over the past couple of years. Right now, it is lingering right around $17.50. This stock has all-time highs, like just around $240 that it made back in 2019. And yes, I said that correctly, around $240. And now it's less than 20. But either way, what we have going on right now is like a squeeze with Beyond Meat. They had some pretty solid news actually, where they have their steak product will be now sold in around 14,000 stores across the United States, including Whole Foods, which is great. And, the stock loved that, of course. But what was interesting is, like, Beyond is such, like, a crazy company where it's, like, when it has big moves like this, we have seen pretty nasty short squeezes with this one before. So this one has, like, meme-like potential. It has good news, and there is a lot of volume flowing into this stock. So I'm going to be watching this stock extremely closely over the next couple days. It's up almost 14% on the day, and it's moving with some power.
It really is. I mean, that daily chart is just so strong looking on Beyond. You go out to the 5-minute, looking good there too. And hey, I'm glad it's starting to squeeze finally, Mike. And I feel like there's a lot of shorts just honestly covering down here, taking profits because, they're starting to finally get some good news coming back. Buyers are starting to come in, and I feel like that, all those shorts are going to be like, hey, now's probably the time, especially with how these growth stocks are starting to go. And even how people are starting to maybe transition a little bit out of some of the larger stocks into these growth stocks. I like that as well. And I know that, some of the growth stocks out there, like NIO, have also been kind of blasting off lately, like these China EV stocks. And I'll be keeping my eyes on them. They're ran up a lot today. Look at 11.22 to the upside. Nice resistance. If we break that, I'll definitely look for more of a breakout. I also think their daily chart looks extremely strong. And we've actually had some nice big money plays a couple months ago on them, stuff like that. I know that there's been a lot of flows coming into a lot of China stocks lately, so I'm glad to see NIO continuing up the trend here.
Beautiful. All right. Another stock I'm watching is GLD. So This is actually a gold ETF, so when this goes up, gold goes up. When it goes down, gold prices go down. Gold actually had a pretty strong reaction to the inflation data today, which was awesome to see. And we didn't really see too much great buying pressure out of gold in the short term besides today. So I really do like that. And I think GLD is an ETF, or just, it's a stock that does very well over the course of multiple days and weeks. So you will not see GLD have a 30% update. Just gold prices don't do that. But what you can see is a very strong uptrend that maybe lasts for 30 days or even longer, right? So from right now to, a couple weeks out, I am going to be pretty bullish on GLD and gold overall. The setup's great, and it has a good catalyst behind it, and the inflation definitely helps as well.
Yeah, that really, I think, helps us quite a bit to see it running up with inflation like this. And what's weird is it seems like gold has kind of been following the market lately. Whenever the market went down, gold was kind of falling off a little bit. Now it's starting to come back. And I think that as we get later into this year, towards the beginning of next year, gold and some of those things like energy and stuff like that will start to pop off a little more as well. So I like gold too, Mike. Pretty good play there in the short term. And just wait a couple more minutes for the big money play. I think you guys will like gold even better in a second. But look at Goldman Sachs talking about gold. I guess we're talking about Goldman here. I'm going to be looking at these guys for tomorrow. If they can get back above 330, I'll be looking for calls. They had a pretty explosive move today, 1.72%. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but some of their options had some pretty damn good moves. And look at the daily chart for Goldman. It's actually been dipping a little bit lately, so it's starting to bounce off support. And in the short term, I'll be looking for a pop up to around maybe 340. Nothing too crazy, but I think that'll be a nice trade here in the short term.
There we go. So I'll keep a close eye on it as well. The bank earnings will be exciting, as we all know. So keep a close eye on Goldman. But it is now time for the momentum plays. And with the first one, we have one of those crazy China stocks, Alibaba, to the upside.
Baba, nice move up today. Go ahead and make them break out above $95. It was awesome to see him hit right on that whole level there today.
All right, with the next one, we have TLT also to the upside.
Yeah, it was awesome today, Mike. TLT came coming back. We blasted back above $100, which was awesome. Go ahead and make TLT break out above 101.10.
Sounds great. So TLT, it's not necessarily an exciting ETF. It follows interest rates, and essentially when you see TLT go up, that means interest rates are actually falling. Now, while this does not move too much on a day-to-day basis, its options really do. So this basically 1.1% move with TLT stock today resulted in a 97% move in some of the call options. So keep a close eye on this one. The options trading is really good. And with the last momentum play, I should say, we have Amazon and both directions for it.
Yeah, Amazon had a really nice day today, honestly. Ran up quite a bit, and they're running up into a humongous recent resistance. Mike, I don't think that there's many other stocks that are at a resistance this crucial. I mean, I don't know how many bounces Amazon has had here, but if they're able to break above 130, 150, I am definitely going to eye up calls, especially with how these other stocks like SPY and NVIDIA and, just all these other companies are starting to break out up above resistances, along with, SPY's obviously an ETF. But good moves here, break out above 130, 150 to the upside. If it falls under 130, then look at puts. But I don't think we're going to break under that, Mike. I have a feeling this one's going to be up.
There we go. All right, so we have that upside level for Amazon. If it breaks above that, we're watching it for calls. We have the downside level as well. If it breaks below that, we are watching it for puts. And then don't forget about good old TLT and BABA. If they break above their upside levels, we're watching them for calls. But Tom, it is now time for the big money trades of today. This is one of the rare days where we have two of them, and they go hand in hand. So with the first one, we have $907,000 that went into GDX. Essentially, this is like a gold mining ETF. So it's a bunch of gold mining companies all under one ETF. And someone dumped $907,000 into the August 18th 33 strike call options. So that's awesome. And I do like the risk reward setup on this one, Tom. It's very similar to my GLD play from a couple minutes ago. I think the setup's great. I really like it.
Yeah, me too. It's starting to bounce off this lower support down here, right around $30. And, GLD's bouncing off support too, which is great, starting to come up. It is approaching some resistances here, but I have a feeling that with everything going on, we'll finally start to get up through some of these. So I'll keep it on the radar, Mike. GDX, $907,000. Not as big even as the next play we're going to talk about, Mike, with gold here.
Tom, I want you to do the honors.
For sure, Mike. Well, hey, GOLD, 20 strike calls going for $2.9 million. Now, GOLD, pretty big stock. Barrick Gold, for anybody who doesn't know it. It's a big stock. Warren Buffett's traded it in the past even. I've seen him do that. But $2.9 million going into this play. Mike, this is a ton of money. I'm loving gold down here. I'm a big fan of gold. I love trading it. I used to trade gold futures. That's actually what got me into the market, was trading those futures there. So I love gold. It's one of my favorite markets out there. And man, it's just whenever it goes up, especially like this, like it did today, and then you see those yields starting to come down a little bit, that's just fantastic.
Exactly. So make sure to keep a close eye on all these gold stocks. They're seeing some pretty awesome inflows right now. And I think it'll be great for short term and even some medium to long term opportunities. So great stuff there. But Tom, for tomorrow, I'm pretty excited, especially for Beyond Meat. I know it's one of those crazy meme stocks, but it is one of my top plays on watch for tomorrow. Of course, this does not mean Beyond Meat has to explode by 80% tomorrow, but hey, it's moving with some solid momentum. It has some good news to back it, and I think we're set for a good day tomorrow, just overall.
Yeah, me too. And I think that, Delta Airlines will be a very fun thing to keep an eye on in the morning too. We'll see that pop off. We'll get to watch PGR, Progressive, start to pop off as well. So PGR will be nice to see, running to the upside maybe. Depends obviously how the earnings go, but it's going to be interesting. Delta should have a pretty nice move too. So I'm definitely loving it, Mike. I'm glad that the inflation data is over with. Honestly, I don't like usually trading on days when that data comes out, but today it was something else, Mike. The long-term account today, we'll just say was very, very nice. I might be having this nice steak dinner tonight.
There we go. Even DraftKings had an amazing day. That stock had a awesome day, up over 5%, and it was up even higher towards open.
It really was, yeah. 5% running to the upside, got above $30 today. So love to see that with DraftKings. They're supposed to be profitable this year, and man, just so many stocks were running. I mean, pick anything, even the SPY. I mean, it was one of those days where, oh man, you have to hop on the train. That's all I gotta say.
There we go. And if you guys are new to the channel and for some reason you're not subscribed, smash that subscribe button. When you do, you'll see our videos recommended to you more often. It takes us hours to make these. We sift through so much data and information to bring you guys nice, sometimes entertaining videos that tell you everything you need to know about the market. So subscribe up, and with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Last but not least, we want to give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, the Detail Buff in the Stocked Up Discord and on YouTube. We really appreciate your comments on YouTube and for all that support, so huge shout out to you. But besides that, let's have an amazing rest of the week.